Psychedelics are an effective treatment for anxiety, and here's what I've discovered in my practice. Anxiety doesn't occur as an isolated element in one's life. It occurs within the gestalt or the whole of one's life. One of the first things I want to know with someone who's suffering with or challenged with anxiety is basic things about their life practices. Are they eating well? Are they staying well hydrated? Are they getting exercise and sunshine? Are they sleeping well, resting during the day? Are they overworked, overtired, exhausted, overextended? What are their relationships like with the spouse, with a partner, with friends? Do they have a close circle of friends? Do they have people they can confide in and feel comfortable talking about what's going on in their lives? These things are all part and parcel of anybody's life. And psychedelics work. They have a way of opening the mind, opening the heart, and giving us an opportunity to examine more deeply what's really happening. And the way we work here, as I said, in nature, in ceremony, in dialogue, we're able to put into perspective the causes, the elements, the contributing factors to anxiety, and put it to rest. And it's a function of a deep spiritual connection in oneself, having daily practices that cultivate that connection, and not simply accepting what we've been taught, told, or given, but to examine our faith or faithlessness. I see people here from every walk of life in terms of their faith, from Christians and Buddhists and Catholics and Jewish to atheists. And the fact of the matter is, when you come here in peace and you come here willing to do the deep work and to really look at what's happening in your life, the way you've been conditioned, the traumas you've experienced, the programming of our culture, and trot these things out, lay them out, and really look at them and put them in perspective, that in itself is enormously healing. And it happens time and time again. And the best example I can give is a client that I asked who came with severe anxiety, and I asked him later after our time together, how are you doing with your anxiety? He said, my anxiety is gone. Now, that's just one example, one anecdotal example. But across the board, time and time again, folks that I've worked with that are suffering with or challenged with anxiety report a diminishment or a cessation of it altogether. And that includes depression, PTSD, and addiction as well. It works. So one of the questions I often get is, are psychedelic mushrooms safe, and are they addictive? And hands down, I say they are safe and they are not addictive. And in the folks that I've worked with that have issues of sobriety, that have stopped drinking, quit drinking in their lives, and they've had many years of sobriety, they have to face and sort out the matter of, can I do mushrooms and not violate my commitment, my oath to myself to stay sober? And when we work that out, it turns out it's not an issue and it's not a problem. It has a medicinal effect. That's why we refer to it as medicines, not as in a pharmacological sense, but in the sense that psychedelics are like a sacrament, a sacred ally. And when we treat them as such, as an intelligence, and then we ingest them into our bodies, the effect they have is profoundly life-altering and transformational, not addictive. So there's been many, many studies over the years on brain function, brain imaging scans, etc., that show that the brain on psychedelics lights up in all the areas, and left side and right side are communicating. The areas of the brain that are inhibiting or controlling, that allow us or that influence our need to control, that part of the brain goes quiet. The measurable effects are something called neuroplasticity, where the brain is actually able to lay down new patterns of behavior, new ways of being in life and in the world, and it's reflective in how the brain shows up on studies. And the matter of neurogenesis is that neurons regenerate, or the synaptic activity is increased under the influence of psychedelics. I mean, these studies are profoundly compelling in the study and the research on the science side of the effect of psychedelics. Here, the way we work here outside, ceremonially, and in this intense and sacred dialogue, is we're not measuring brain activity, but we know it's happening, and we see it in the way that people respond, how they change, and how they change when they go back into their lives, and the effect that it has on their quality of life, their relationships, and the way they are with themselves. It's powerful. Is it enough to come to a retreat, or do you need to keep taking mushrooms to experience the effects? I'll give you a contrast with the drug approach, with the pharmacological approach. You have to keep taking the drug to get the effect. This is especially true in PTSD. What I've discovered and what the studies are showing with psychedelics is, with one journey, one application, or several, the changes are permanent or more permanent, moving toward resolution. And medically we would say cured. As to whether or not you have to keep taking them, my first answer is no. Underlying that answer is, it behooves us, after we've experienced a journey or a retreat, is to implement the practices in daily life that allow for the continued expansion, transformation, change to happen. These are everyday practices. A morning quiet practice, being out in nature, movement, creativity, exercise. So we're back to the basics again. All the things that have to do with taking care of oneself, maintaining the vessel, caring. It's a matter of self-care and self-love, reflective of self-worth, and to institute those practices and maintain them on a daily basis. And then come back for another retreat when you're ready to look again at take another deep dive into your life. What's next? What are the new opportunities that are coming to the fore that you want to embrace, or new challenges that arise that you want to address? So it's a path. It's an ongoing way of living, not taking psychedelics per se, but how we live, how we examine ourselves. The self-discovery and the evolution of our own consciousness is a practice. Let me say this. When people have asked me, what are the side effects of taking mushrooms or psychedelics? It's to be more loving, more open, more generous, more accepting, more communicative, feeling more connected, more grounded, more joyful, more peaceful on a daily basis. That's enough. That's plenty. That's a lot right there.